Have you ever wondered why so many women start feeling differently about their husbands as the years roll by? Sometimes that warmth and excitement turns into something colder, maybe even irritation or frustration. It's a feeling that isn't talked about enough, but it's incredibly common and very real. Could there be hidden reasons behind this shift? Is it possible that these changes happen for reasons no one mentions out loud? Actually, there is a reason, and it's more surprising than you think. Stay until the end. What you'll learn might change your life. If this topic speaks to you, don't forget to subscribe, give us a like, and tell us your thoughts in the comments below. A lifetime of shifting roles. Picture a couple married for decades. In the early years, their days revolved around building a home, raising children, and creating memories. Over time, the demands and responsibilities change. Children grow up, jobs evolve, or come to an end with retirement, and daily routines look very different. For many women, these changes bring a wave of new emotions and adjustments. Think back to your own experience or someone close to you. How often did the rhythm of daily life revolve around making sure the family was cared for, meals were prepared, and everyone's needs were met, often before your own? It's likely that somewhere along the way, you put your desires and dreams aside for the sake of partnership and family stability. As these foundational roles change, the silence that used to fill the kitchen during quiet afternoons might now feel heavier. Without the daily chaos of kids or the busyness of full-time work, long stretches of time are now spent together, often in the same space. For the first time in years, there may be more opportunity to truly see each other, habits, quirks, and all. Small annoyances, once easy to ignore in the rush of daily life, can become more noticeable, almost magnified. Something as simple as the way he leaves the newspaper on the table or forgets to put away his shoes might start to chip away at your patience. This period of life invites reflection and sometimes regret. Questions surface. Did you spend your best years tending to everyone but yourself? Did you lose track of who you were before you became a wife, mother, or a caretaker? It's common for women to feel a quiet resentment build, not because they don't love their husbands, but because so much of their identity has been wrapped up in roles that are no longer needed in the same way. When the children leave and work commitments lessen, there's a sudden realization that you've been taking care of others for decades. And while your husband may also struggle with these transitions, his involvement in the daily grind may have looked different. Imagine sitting across the table from your partner, realizing you no longer have the distractions that once brought you together. No shared school runs or hectic family dinners. What's left are two people who may not recognize each other or themselves in this new phase. Conversations can become routine, and without new shared experiences, boredom can sneak in. It's easy for a woman to think, "Who am I now? And do we still connect beyond the structure we built together?" This process can bring about a subtle shift in attitude, not because of sudden dislike, but because unmet needs and lost pieces of the self are now resurfacing. It isn't about blame, it's the reality of lives intertwined for so long, suddenly facing change. Facing your partner every day, you might see little reflections of what you gave up or missed along the way. This doesn't happen overnight, and it's not unique to any one couple. It is the result of a long journey, one that transforms over time, sometimes without either person truly noticing until the feeling is deeply rooted. What happens when the roles that defined your relationship change so completely? Can you rediscover yourselves and each other, or does the distance only grow? This leads us to the next surprising reason, and it might hit closer to home than you expect. The echoes of unspoken sacrifices. Imagine decades spent putting others first, your children, your spouse, your home. Through the years, Perhaps you set aside small ambitions, loyal friendships, or favorite activities, quietly believing you'd come back to them one day. Maybe you gave up a painting hobby, stopped meeting up with old friends for afternoon coffee, or deferred your own career dreams for the sake of stability. At the time, these decisions felt natural or even necessary. The sense of duty to keep the family on track and maintain peace at home often went unspoken, yet shaped every day. Many women find themselves reflecting on these choices as they grow older. With more empty hours and fewer tasks, there's space to look inward, and some surprising feelings come bubbling up. You might recall countless moments when your husband's career took center stage, moving to another city for his job, or supporting his ideas while your own remained quietly on hold. Now, with the children grown and the house quieter, the enormity of those compromises comes into sharp focus. It's not about tallying up scores or demanding recognition, but about finally acknowledging the dreams that were put on the back burner for so long. Sometimes, when your husband sits in his favorite chair watching television, it's not the program that irritates you. It's the reminder of years spent putting yourself second. Maybe he doesn't see this, having lived his own sacrifices in a way that looked different from yours. Perhaps he doesn't realize you're mourning parts of yourself that never came to be. The feelings that surface are complex, a mix of nostalgia for what once was and regret for roads not taken. You might struggle with sadness at the memories of joyful moments you missed while taking care of practical matters. Perhaps you look at photos of your younger self and wonder what you would say to that woman now. Would you encourage her to follow her passions or reassure her that her sacrifices were worth it? If friends confide similar regrets, you may find comfort in knowing you're not alone. It's a quiet reality shared by many women who devoted themselves to others, often without complaint. As life slows down, these long, unspoken sacrifices, both big and small, start to influence how you see your partner. Sometimes, you may feel frustration when he seems oblivious to this emotional journey, or you might resent the way he could focus on his interests without guilt or apology. It's not just about him leaving socks on the floor. It's about feeling unseen in the parts of yourself that were quietly left behind. These feelings can be perplexing, especially if they seem to emerge suddenly after years of companionship. Yet, they're tied to deeply human experiences, longing for meaning, for understanding, for the chance to rediscover yourself. Growing older with your partner can bring these emotions to the surface, sometimes quietly, sometimes with a force that feels overwhelming. Have you ever found yourself wishing you could go back and give some advice to your younger self, or felt an unexpected wave of grief for the things you let slip away? Stay with us, because the next point might hold the key to embracing these feelings and finding peace in this new phase of life. Growing apart in the quiet between conversations. Consider how deeply routines have shaped your shared life. The busy mornings of juggling breakfast with getting everyone out the door, the casual evenings spent discussing the kids' homework or weekend plans, the reassuring habit of talking about bills or chores. For years, these exchanges masked the growing gaps in understanding and connection. But what happens when the routine's slow? As you and your husband step into retirement, or simply have quieter days with fewer outside demands, the comfortable activity that once filled the air now gives way to long silences. These pauses can feel less like peace and more like distance. Picture a couple sitting together in the living room after dinner, each lost in separate thoughts, television murmuring in the background, but no real conversation happening. Maybe he picks up his crossword while you thumb through a magazine, but neither of you reaches for the other like you once did. It's not that you don't care, but the topics that once kept your conversations alive have faded with time. With the children living their own lives and work no longer a daily focus, You may realize that much of what brought you together centered on those external responsibilities rather than your unique bond. The result can be a subtle drift, almost like living alongside a familiar stranger. The moments when you try to reconnect might be awkward or unsatisfying. After sharing a story from your day, you notice his distracted nod, or you mention plans to visit an old friend, and he barely looks up. This isn't just forgetfulness or inattentiveness. It's the culmination of years spent prioritizing everything but your shared emotional world. For some women, this distance brings frustration or disappointment. You might remember when he hung on every word you said or wanted to hear your opinion on even the smallest matters. Now, paying attention feels optional. Neither of you quite knows how to start those deep conversations anymore. Maybe you both avoid certain topics, wary of sparking an argument or reopening old wounds. Or maybe the energy it takes to rebuild closeness feels overwhelming after decades of drifting further apart. It's easy to feel alone in these experiences, but they are, in fact, quite common. The emotional space that grows between partners can be even more isolating than physical distance, especially when you spend more time together but feel unseen or unheard. You may find yourself reminiscing about when connection felt effortless and wondering how things became so silent. That silence can be filled with everything you wish you could say or wish you would notice. If you've ever felt invisible in your own marriage, longing for a spark of the spontaneous closeness you once shared, you're not the only one. Every relationship must weather periods of quiet and growth, but often it's during these later years that the need for genuine conversation and understanding feels most urgent. Have you noticed that the silence between you is saying more than words ever could, and wondered if it's possible to find your way back to a place of true connection? Let's look at how facing these quiet spaces together could change the way you see one another and yourself. Unveiling the person behind a partner. When daily life's noise finally quiets, something remarkable, and at times unsettling, happens. You begin to see your spouse not only as your husband, but as an individual with his own quirks, habits, and flaws that become more visible in the peaceful emptiness of later years. The roles you each played for decades, provider, parent, caretaker, begin to fade, revealing patterns and traits that might have been overlooked or excused in the busier seasons of life. Suddenly, the way he always leaves a cabinet door open, his insistence on doing things his way, or even his predictable stories told at every family gathering all stand out with a new clarity. It's not that these behaviors just appeared. It's that you have the space now to notice and, sometimes, feel irritated by them. For many women, this process also means confronting who they are without their old roles. You may find yourself reflecting on what truly fulfills you and what you wish for the years ahead. Perhaps you once laughed off his stubbornness or brushed off his forgetfulness, but now each instance seems to chip away at your patience. Slowly, you realize it's not just about what he does, but about what you need at this stage of life. More understanding, more respect, more genuine companionship. This honest assessment can bring both discomfort and freedom, forcing each person to acknowledge what has changed and what they desire moving forward. In this phase of rediscovery, some women choose to start new hobbies, forge friendships, or have long overdue conversations about making changes at home. Have you caught yourself wondering who you want to be and what kind of relationship you hope to build in these quieter years? Reclaiming lost pieces, the search for self. As the seasons of marriage progress and the commotion of raising children and planning for the future steadily fades, many women find themselves standing in the quiet aftermath, surrounded by echoes of dreams set aside. For decades, life might have moved to the rhythm of others' needs. Early mornings waking children, late nights helping with homework, years filled with volunteering, cooking, and cheering from the sidelines. It's easy in this flurry to lose sight of who you are beyond the role of wife or mother. Now, with grown children and a home that's finally calm, a subtle longing often emerges. You might remember the painting classes you once loved, the friends you lost touch with, or the personal ambitions placed on pause for the sake of the family stability. Jane, for example, a devoted wife and mother, spent over 30 years weaving her life around her husband's career and the kids' schedules, rarely considering her own aspirations. As retirement settled in, she was left with long, reflective afternoons and a sense that her best, most adventurous self had lingered quietly in the background all these years, waiting to be rediscovered. As Jane tried to reconnect with her own interests, she often felt an unexpected resentment toward her husband. Not because he asked for her sacrifices, but because the structure and priorities of marriage and family had, in subtle ways, demanded them. She watched him savor his newfound freedom, relishing in golf games or weekend fishing trips with friends, while she struggled to recall what brought her joy independent from others' needs. This realization can spark frustration, sadness, and even anger, a quiet reckoning with the years gone by and the things you might have chosen differently. It's a deeply personal, sometimes painful process, asking how it became so easy to shrink your world to fit your spouse's expectations and family routines. However, as uncomfortable as these feelings can be, they're also the seeds of growth and possibility. Many women begin to reclaim lost passions, fostering new friendships or dusting off long-neglected creative pursuits. Some find meaning in volunteering, traveling, or simply allowing themselves moments of rest without guilt. Others reach out for open conversations with their partners, expressing a need for change, support, or understanding as they write this next chapter together or apart. The upheaval isn't about blame. It's about discovering that, after years of giving, you're still entitled to pursue wholeness, purpose, and happiness on your own terms. These shifts aren't easy or automatic, but for every woman who's ever glanced back at the road not taken, there's a chance to forge a new path, regardless of age. If you've ever felt invisible, overlooked, or tethered to the identity of wife rather than your own name, do you wonder what possibilities might open up if you dare to put yourself first this time and embraced every forgotten facet of who you truly are? As we look back at this quiet transformation that so many women experience, it's clear these changes are neither simple nor one-sided. The journey from warmth and connection to frustration or even resentment doesn't happen overnight. It's shaped by years of sacrifice, shifting roles, and dreams both realized and set aside. When the hectic pace of life slows down, when children build lives of their own and routines unravel, what's left is the chance to rediscover the people you've become. This can bring uncomfortable truths and surprising revelations, but it also holds the possibility for growth, self-compassion, and a renewed sense of purpose. Remember, acknowledging the challenges of this new season does not diminish the love or commitment that brought you here. Instead, it honors your courage and honesty in facing what's real and choosing to create meaning from it. Every step of reflection, a moment spent reclaiming who you are, and each hard conversation is a testament to your resilience. No matter your age or how much time has passed, it's never too late to reconnect with lost passions, nurture new connections, or reshape your relationship with yourself and your partner. The future doesn't have to repeat the past. It can be written differently, with more laughter, compassion, and understanding for both of you. If this message spoke to your heart, comment the word wisdom below to show you're on this journey too. And if you'd like more stories and support, Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and join a community that understands. Your story is still unfolding, and you're not alone as you find hope and purpose in these new chapters.